Hello, today I'm shooting a live play video playing multiple tables of 5 cent, 10 cent, and 10 cent, 25 cent PLO on the Chico network. Table 4, going to overlimp. So, rundown hands are pretty good. Table 1, got the second nut full, and especially with a player behind, I prefer to just call. Go for the overcall. Table 4 in a 6-way pot. Definitely just going to be check folding. Table 1 here. I complete with a pretty weak hand as I'm getting 9-1. So you can call pretty liberally in that spot when you're at a table with several limpers in front of you. Hopefully get a few more. I'm on a couple waiting lists, so hopefully get a few more tables going, just so there's more spots to talk about. I'll be referring to the tables numerically, starting with the top left. So 4 tables at the moment. It'll be table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4. Table 2, got a decision here. Very, very loose aggressive opener. So I could 3-bet. Maybe I could flat, but I feel this hand doesn't do that well single raised, because you're gonna end up flopping just 1 pair of kings all the time, which can be a very tricky hand to play. If I had king high suit, I would have to take a flop there or 3-bet. So 3-betting is also a pretty attractive option, I think. You'll know that we're pretty short stacked. So we'd be able to get a decent amount of money in before the flop. We can make it 290. The problem with 3-betting, with treating weak aces, weak kings like aces, is well, one, of course, we could run into aces, which I don't think it's going to happen very often from any player. This Z-Bank guy is opening very liberally, so we can give him, say, a 30 or 40% RFI from the cutoff, then only 10 or less than 10% of the time he'll have aces, and then the blinds can be expected to have aces, you know, 1 in 40 times or whatever it is. So, but there's still that chance, and you add it all together, and it comes up to it's obviously a rough calculation, but around 15% of the time you're going to run into aces. But the other thing is that just because they have aces doesn't mean you have crushing equity with these kings. So Uh, it's definitely a spot I wouldn't mind. And then the other thing is they're going to call, right? They're not going to four bet jam with weaker hands. So it's another calculation, right? You're going to go to the flop, and then you'll probably lose a bit there because they'll be playing pretty well against your hand. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting spot where definitely the right play might be to free bet. Um, I do like having this seat at the table, being in position on this player. You do want to keep very aggressive, hyper aggressive players on your right so that you can act after them, evaluate the situation after they've acted. Right now is sort of a peak time for the Chico network. Decent amount of games running at the PLO 10 level. Chico Network is an American facing site, one of the larger, competitive with Ignition and the Winning Network. The flagship brand is Bet Online. So table, we can call it 2 here. I've got ace 8, 5, 10 with a nut suit, and I'll be folding to a raise or completing if there is no raise. Is again getting 9-1, so very good pot odds. And just going to check the flop. Table 4, flopping top pair on a pretty dynamic board. So I'm going to go ahead and check the turn. Table 2 here, the first live table, I've got an open-ended draw, and I'm getting 5-1. Only got 3 nut outs, 3 sevens. Fold because I only have 3 nut outs. Table 3. Oh, I called and I hit it. That's nice. Fold. Table 3. Got an overpair. Definitely want to check fold this turn. It's a very bad turn. And check fold the river. Table 2. Turn the nuts and bet it. So there's some, it's still early, some disconnect between my mind and my mouse there. Well, you can see here, even though I turn the nuts, this isn't like a really great situation because more than half the deck is going to pose real problems for me on the river, like that card. I could get bluffed off here. I don't think I can call that bad. So not only am I an extreme long shot to hit the turn with my what is essentially a gutter, because the queen part of my open-ended is not the nuts. But even if I do hit it, I have to fade the river. I have to not get bluffed out on the river, or not pay off. Table 4, opening up with very nice queens, double suited. And I think I can go ahead and bet the flop. It's a decently dynamic board. Anything from a jack to a 4 puts us straight up. I do have 2 backdoor flush draws. And I think I'm going to go ahead and check the turn and check fold the river. Get some showdown value. Table 3 here. ace five, queen jack, double suited. Um, kind of borderline open from under the gun. I think that I do need both suits. Otherwise, this hand is just an open fold. You want to be pretty conservative, opening from a first position at a six-handed table. Um, I think I'm going to gamble here. Um, aside from queen, queen, I don't see him having the other sets, and I do have a queen, so I mean, a player with these stats, you're going to expect them to have a pretty strong hand most of the time. They're betting. Table three, going to defend. Complete table four. And I'm going to go ahead and check. I can bet the turn here with my three queens. Pretty unlikely anybody has Jack 10. You know, 10-7 and 5-7 beat me. I think at this point it's very likely this player has Jack 10. Um, maybe even 10-7. 5-7. Just thinking that maybe he turned spades and was now bluff min raising them. But alas, that was not the case. All right, fifth table going. Table one completing the small blind and definitely going to bet the flop here. Probably fold to a raise just because it's a limped in pot. And a passive player here, I think, very likely to show up with a set, maybe ace queen. Certainly will would have three bet. Table three, Jack 7-7-9, open from the cutoff. And get called by the small blind. And I think my hand is so weak here I can just check back, give up. Don't have to try to win every pot. Now I've got some showdown value. Value City there. From MP, I think this is a pretty clear open fold. Definitely would open the hand from the button, maybe the cutoff. It's actually a pretty weak hand, like pretty bad hand structure. In Omaha, you really want four cards working together. Two decently high suits is of some value, but overall, a bit of a rocky session so far. Um, but sessions where things aren't really going that well are almost more valuable um, for your development as a player than sessions where you're just constantly stacking everybody. Seems like poker's the easiest game in the world. You can test your mental game and your discipline, and can you process your emotions without freaking out, without tilting. Um, some people think that to play poker you have to be emotionless, which I don't think is the case. I don't think that should be your goal. Table 6 going to fold. This player goes all in with the flop. Kind of an interesting spot on the turn now. Fold. That action. Table 4, middling 2 pair. Spot him to actually. Just going to check the fold. And kings from middle position. Table 6, kind of a marginal open, in my opinion. Would even hate an open fold. 3, opting to complete. Blind versus blind. And got the raise. Table 6, flopping top set. Going to continuation bet. Not a great turn. Go ahead and check back. And I think I have to fold the river. Everything gets there. Straights, flushes. Table 4. Going to open the button with a relatively weak hand. And just going to check back the flop. And fold to the donk. And check my option on table 6. Table 3. Open this hand from the cutoff. It's a little bit low. You got to be careful with low cards in Omaha because you are going to end up flopping the bottom end of coolers. But I think it's okay to have some low and middle cards here. We are opening from the cutoff. So there's a decent chance that we end up playing the hand in position. Up to 6 tables now. So that's good. Should keep the action a little more continuous. Table 3, pretty nice hand, but because I am under the gun, I'm going to fold. Might even fold this hand in middle position. Pretty though it may be. Marginal open here on table 5. Queens with 1 suit. The button's 3 bets. I have to fold. But luckily got past the button and the cutoff. And I think I can bet fold half pot against this loose passive player. My overpairing gutty. I think his continuing range is quite strong, although not entirely 10x. And I will fold. Deuce river bet. Thing is, there's not a lot that can peel on that flop aside from 10x. Maybe this guy could have some under pairs or some straight draws, but a lot of the time he will have the 10. Or even kings or aces are also possible. Table 4, flopping middle set. And definitely going to start with a bet. I could just call as well. It's actually a decent chance he's got pocket tens. Although if he's thinking about it, maybe he doesn't. Or he's just trying to get action. Turning the second nut flush here on table 2. I'll bet fold the river here. Table 1, Jack 10, 8-4, double suited. Will complete. If there's no raise, fold to a raise. See the big blind looking pretty nitty over a small sample, so we're pretty likely to get away with the complete. If you have a more loose aggressive player in the big blind, then you gotta be a little more circumspect about the hands that you complete with. Although this hand might be a candidate anyway. And check folding or air. Again, table 5, pretty nitty big blind. So see if I can get away with the open limp complete. Folding, folding, checking and folding. All right, so gonna wind things up there. Bit of a rougher session, but that's poker, right? You're not always running good. You're not always crushing everybody. Sometimes it's your turn of the bucket. So shut it down there now. Just play out, tell my blind. Generally, you want to exit tables right before your big blind. Of course, if you're tilted and you're quitting because you're tilted, then you just want to exit right away. um, but I don't believe that I'm tilted. So it's fine to play out my big blind. Table 5, pretty clear raise here. With decent aces, I've got a nut suit, I've got some connectivity with my side cards, and I think I can bet fold the flop here. Um, my passive opponent's probably not check raising without two pair or a set, um, maybe a wrap. All right, we'll shut it down there.